Well, I'm just tired of hearing the president complain about the previous administration and the president in his 80s, who obviously has faded from the world of politics after the ordeal that he experienced in terms of struggling during a debate on June 27th before the election and pretty much being booted out of office by his own party. We recognize that all wasn't well with Joe Biden, that he wasn't in ideal form, to say the least. But to constantly bring him up and to point the finger of blame, especially when you proclaim that you're doing so well, just seems to me to be a bit more than suspicious. Basically, once the chickens come home to roost and we learn that you've been bloviating entirely too much, big up in yourself in ways that no other human ever has in American history, proclaiming that you're so great and you're so flawless and everything that you do is just that way, and we find out otherwise, you've got somebody else to point the finger to and say, look what I inherited. And I'm tired of that. At some point in time, we've got to talk about moving forward. We got to think about what's best for the country, and we got to think about moving forward from a standpoint, where do we go from here? What's the situation with inflation? Is there a recession that's forthcoming? The border, is it really, really handled? Is it really, really just? Or is ICE going to continue to come across, at least in footages of being a bit too aggressive and going after non-violent immigrants when you swore up and down that you were going to get the violent criminals out of our country, but we see others being targeted. At some point in time, we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we'll be able to get a hold of the truth. We won't be slaves at the mercy of algorithms, and we'll be able to deduce what's factually correct, what's a bunch of nonsense, and who should be held accountable and who shouldn't.
Do you believe that tomorrow you're going to have to blow out all 18 shows that you do and say, I'm all Epstein, we got a whole new cast of names that are complicit?
No, I don't believe that. I personally am one of those people. I'm not going to say that a whole bunch of names are going to be redacted or whatever, but I think we should have seen the files by now, particularly since it's something the president campaigned on. The fact that he ultimately ended up procrastinating and trying to stall this effort to make sure that the files were exposed definitely seems a bit suspicious, but I don't think it's about him. I think it's about people he knows that he's trying to protect. I think that exists on both sides of the aisle, where there are some notable people that may have been aware of the transgressions of Epstein and were complicit by doing nothing. And let's hope they didn't participate either, but clearly by doing nothing, not calling him to the carpet, not holding him accountable or anything like that. And I think those are the names that folks are trying to protect, because they're very influential people within our government of the United States. I'm not talking about actual elected officials, but those connected to them. And I think that's one of the reasons we didn't see it happen when Biden was in office. And I think that's one of the reasons we've seen a delay since Trump has been in office. Nobody's hands are clean when it comes to the nation's capital. It's filled with filthy hands. There's not enough Dove soap or anything else to clean the hands in the nation's capital. We all know this, and I think that we'll find that out tomorrow, and obviously in the weeks and the months to come as well.
I would have seen you as more of a dial guy than a Dove guy.
I'm a Dove guy. I'm a Dove. I'm a Dove instead of dial.
Really?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yes, I am.
Stephen A. Smith, it's a little early for Christmas, but I want to tell you, I love you and I appreciate you, and I wish you the best for Christmas. And I hope you have a full heart heading into the new year. You matter, and you matter to me as my friend. So God bless you and the family.
Same here, my man. God bless you and your family and everybody at NewsNation. Happy holidays. See you soon.
Continued success, brother. I look forward to watching it.
All right.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.